Welcome to the future of real estate. I'm Brett Ellis of the Ellis team at RE/MAX. I'm joined today by my mother, Sandy Ellis. If you haven't joined us before, you're in for a real treat. On this show, we talk about real estate issues affecting you. We offer tips and insight you won't get anywhere else. Now, later on, Sandy, we're going to talk about our featured properties of the week. I think Kevin's going to bring those in for us?
Yes.
Okay, super. If you hear about a property when we do that, agents are standing by right now. You can simply give us a call at 239-489-4042 and just give us a call and we'll give you the information you'd like. Now, if you're a seller and you'd like your home featured here, you can call us too. Being listed with the Ellis team and featured on this radio show is great exposure and just another example of the many ways we make your home stand out for the crowd. Our phone number again is 489-4042. Our website is topagent.com. Now, got some exciting news to tell our radio listeners.
Okay, what's that?
Our exciting news is this is our first show. We've been talking about it for darn near a month, it seems like.
Yeah.
But we are broadcasting now in video.
That should be interesting.
Should be very interesting. Now, we'll see how that works
that's
out.
Interesting,
we'll have
right?
to see how the glare off my head works and, all that kind of thing.
Shine there today.
But anyway, if you go to topagent.com, you'll be able to view this. We're also going to have some other partners that I think are going to go in with us. The first week it may not be up, but I think the news press is going to start doing the show. They've come in, want to be a sponsor of the show. And we're also going to do some things like Ustream, and we'll even put up some segments of the show over on our YouTube video. And you'll be able to find those from our topagent.com website as well.
Oh, that's great.
So when we talk about some graphs and whatnot, we're going to be able to show you some of these things now. Our radio listeners, you may not see everything we're talking about, but I think most people are kind of getting used to it because like the Mike and Mike show in the morning on ESPN, they do it. Howard Stern, of course, does it. A lot of shows, the Glenn Beck show, a lot of them are radio and TV at the same time. So we'll be able to show a lot more stuff. In fact, we have an article that we wrote that's in the newspaper today.
Is that right?
On Saturday, here in the news press. And the gist of that article is it's about, and every week we give like an update of what's going on, but we kind of like to go behind the numbers and talk about, what's really driving the market, how that may affect the market going forward. So this week we've done that. And what we did was it was a distressed sales. What we've done is we've tracked them July, August, and September. And we wanted to look at the Fort Myers market, the Cape Coral, and the Lehigh Acres market and say, okay, what's going on here? What's the trend? Now, by distressed, we talk about short sales and bank foreclosures. And then I've also got spreadsheets where we track each one individually. But for this graph, and Dave, if you don't mind maybe cutting to the graph for our video listeners or video viewers, we'll be able to see. We've got a graph up right now.
I haven't read that article today, so
that's fine. We'll just kind of go through it because we got to explain it to our radio listeners anyway.
Okay.
But basically, in Fort Myers, the percent of distress sales back in July were 72.78%, and we've got that right here for our video listeners. And then, as you can see, what's happened in August, it went down to 66%, and it's down to 58% in September. So Fort Myers is absolutely our strongest segment of the market right now. If you go over to the Cape Coral side, they've been hovering around 70% each month. 70.03 in July, 68.87 in August, 69.44 in September.
Okay, so their numbers are, foreclosure or distress numbers are actually higher than the Fort Myers.
Definitely. And then Lehigh is the highest yet. Now, they were about 80, almost 87% back in July. They fell to about 84% in August. They're down to 81%. So what you're seeing is all these numbers are falling. Now, short sales in some of these segments are actually going up. And I've got spreadsheets and graphs, but our news press article today really details what's going on. 20%, 30% increase in that, 20%, 30% decrease over here. And we break down the short sales, the foreclosures and whatnot. But we're starting to see more banks are putting more short sales together. So I think that's encouraging. But I thought this was a kind of a good graph to kind of illustrate and show.
That's going to be an interesting piece, not only for the people that listen to the show or watch the show, but also for realtors as well that are out there, because they may or not have compiled all those stats.
A lot of realtors do tune into the show, and I'd like to think that we provide some data behind the stats because, as a realtor, if you're out there working and you're busy, sometimes you don't have time to go in and just kind of, or if you don't have a historical basis to track this stuff, the numbers you're looking at today doesn't have a lot of meaning. So we try to go inside the numbers, provide the historical basis, and say, okay, is there a trend developing here? And if so, what could it possibly mean to the future? That's why we call the show The Future of Real Estate. So anyway, I was interested to see, though, that Fort Myers probably had less speculation, because if you think about it, the single-family home speculation really happened in the Cape, especially at Northeast, Northwest Cape, and in Lehigh Acres. So it's not surprising then that you'll see some of the higher concentrations of those speculators and distressed sales are occurring in those areas.
Now, the short sale numbers, however, could be different than that. I mean, because a lot of people that had not previously been affected by this downturn are starting to be affected now, or really feeling the ill effects of it. Of course, we're going into season. That should help us be a good impact as well.
If you're unemployed now, season tends to help employment because there's more opportunities. And later on in the show, we're going to get into the job market, how that will affect the real estate market, the overall economy. We're going to get into we've got a University of Florida study that came out.
I saw that. That was interesting.
Yeah, we're going to get into just a lot of topics relating to the housing market and foreclosures. And we've been saying for months now, basically, that there's maybe a second wave of these things coming, and the foreclosures that we see coming now tend to be a little bit in the higher price range, because that low end stuff is from 05, whatnot. A lot of it's worked its way through the system. Now what we're seeing is the average Joe who has lost his job, or maybe hasn't lost his job but says, I'm so far underwater, I'm just going to walk from this thing. And that's different than the speculators, which were the first wave.
Yeah, those people that were trying to flip it and make some money,
Yeah, the flippers
they were the first.
The flippers are gone.
Those are pretty much gone, yeah.
If you're a flipper and you're still holding on to your property, you might not be the wisest flipper there ever was.
Right, that's right.
And flipper was a pretty smart dolphin, but if you're a flipper in the real estate market, you might not be the sharpest tool in the shed. Yeah. But we admire you for trying to hang on and do the right thing. Now, we are seeing also an increase in Alt-A mortgages. So those are going to start resetting and expiring coming up. And I think that's one of the reasons, amongst two. The first reason is some of the people are losing jobs, and that's causing foreclosures, and it's happening. It's affecting all segments, and we're starting to see the higher price stuff. And also the Alt-A mortgages tended to be the more higher price mortgages, and not necessarily riskier. The subprime were the speculators. The Alt-A were the adjustable rate mortgages, maybe people who could afford $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. We're starting to see a few more of those foreclosures hit the market. So
yeah, and actually, as an Alt-A, if they were an adjustable, it's not because their rate has adjusted up higher, because they really haven't. It's because of what has happened in the economy.
We call that a mortgage reset.
Yeah.
And yes, it's the balances get reset. The rates can go up, and
they can, but we have not seen that.
Well, we are seeing that
in the beginning. That's true.
We are seeing that, because I think we're going to see that in 2010 and 2011, because they were on those 1%, 2% loans, and now they're going to start hitting 5% and 6%. And if they couldn't afford them at 3%, they're not going to afford them at 5 or 6.
Or they were interest only,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you've been listening to The Future of Real Estate, presented by the Ellis team at RE/MAX. You've been watching us too, our first video segment.
Wow.
So stay tuned, because we've got a lot more stuff to go over, and we'll be right back.